Hey, welcome to today's video and thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about this subject, how to optimize your retirement income. Now, some of you are approaching retirement, some of you are in retirement, and the key here is how do you pull your money out of your portfolio in a tax efficient manner, making sure you don't run out of money and spend too much too quickly. And then also if you have a goal of keeping some of the money behind for your estate, for your beneficiaries, so you're wondering how do we actually pull that money out and use it in our lifetime during retirement. That's what we're going to answer today. And I'm going to get you to review 4 questions with me and try to answer them, and because you really need to focus on these 4 questions because that leads you to optimization. So without further ado, let's get into why you're here today. And before you do that, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and share it with anybody that wants more education about retirement planning. Okay, let's dig into these 4 questions. Now, the key to understanding how to optimize your retirement income is understanding how you're going to use your money in retirement, how much money you're going to need in retirement, so when and how much. Those are really key to understanding how we're going to optimize. So let's get into the first question. How much income will you need in retirement? Now, I understand this is sometimes a difficult thing to try to calculate because you've been spending most of your life with a lot of expenses because you had to go to work. Now that you're retiring from work, you may not need 2 cars, the travel expense, the lunches, the eating more food, that type of thing. All those expenses are going to go to the wayside, but they're going to be replaced with the expenses that you were looking forward to spend on, and that is maybe traveling more, spending more time outside of Canada, enjoying your retirement. So those are the things you have to really nail down, because in order to answer the other 3 questions, you got to understand how much income you're going to need in retirement. So let's move on to number 2. How much will be funded by government benefits like CPP and old age security, and maybe a private pension plan if you have a pension plan? So the first question is, how much do you need? The second question, where's the money coming from? So let's begin with the easy one. That's Canada Pension Plan and Old Age Security. Just got to call Canada Pension Plan. It's 800 number. They're generally pretty quick depending on what time of the day you call them. It says right on their website when's the worst time and the good times to call. And you could just simply ask them the question, if I keep working and I retire at this date, what am I going to expect to see on CPP and Old Age Security? So they'll answer that question for you. The next would be, of course, a pension plan, an employer-sponsored pension plan. So when you have that income, you say, okay, I've got X amount of dollars coming in, but we need this amount of dollars, so there's a shortfall. So where's that going to come from? So, well, how much do you plan to withdraw from your RRSPs, TFSA, and your non-registered accounts to supplement that difference between Canada Pension Plan and Old Age Security? So that leads you to another question when you look at that and you say, okay, well, how are we investing our money today? What rate of return do we need to actually grow our portfolios to a certain amount that's going to produce this level of income, because that's what we need when added with your CPP and Old Age Security and maybe pension plan. We need X amount of dollars that'll supply that income stream. So, well, that's, now you're talking about getting a financial plan done. You can watch this video up here that talks all about how to do a financial plan, how to get a financial plan created, and the value and why you'd want one. 4th question, we're almost there. How much will you be able to leave behind if you have a plan to leave any money behind for your beneficiaries or charities? Is that part of your planning as well? I've talked to literally hundreds and hundreds of people every year, and they talk about whether they want to leave money behind or they do want to leave. Some don't and some do. So you got to figure out that for yourself. Okay, I'm going to show you a few slides, and that'll sort of help you figure out exactly how, when I talked about how you're going to use your money in retirement, this is going to help you shape that sort of conversation with yourself or with your partner and figuring out your income. So are you only going to live off of the returns in your portfolio? So let's talk about how that is. So looking at this slide here, do you see your kind of portfolio in that? You've got Canada Pension Plan, Old Age Security, you've got hopefully at least over $500,000 of RSP, and then a TFSA account. You might even have a non-registered account. And so typically most people have this kind of setup: Canada Pension Plan, RSP, TFSA, and a non-registered account. Now, if you're planning on living off of your portfolio returns, let's look at one account at a time. Your RSP eventually is going to turn into a RIF, And that's the income coming out of that is going to be based off of your age and what the government has set for each age. So as you get older, you take out progressively a little bit more money because the percentage goes up. Well, that might be in combination with a TFSA, in combination with a non-registered account, you might be actually drawing down those assets instead of growing those assets. And what we're just talking about was keeping the principal where it is and just living off of the returns. So what might happen is you might end up doing this, an RRSP meltdown, where you're drawing the assets down, so doing withdrawals ahead of time, ahead before of say age 71, and you're taking that money, you're paying some tax as you do the withdrawals, but you're shifting the excess, what's left over, into your tax-free savings account in your non-registered account. Now you could do this. Now you could actually invest that money in such a way where you live off the returns and try to keep that principal. Now, if that is your goal, so now what you're doing is you're actually just going to invest that money. That money you're going to take out whatever you've earned, and you can invest it in such a way that it's a little bit less on the taxation. But you're going to live off the returns and keep the principal. But you can see here, in order to just live off the returns, and let's say Canada Pension Plan and Old Age Security, you have to have a sizable retirement account. You're talking about in excess of $1 million. You might even need closer to $1.5 million to be able to have enough money to not really deplete that asset and just live off of the return. So to get there, you've got to be focused on growing a non-registered portfolio instead of your RSP portfolio. So it takes some planning, again, going back to that, get with an advisor and get a financial plan done so you can talk about what that withdrawal strategy is going to look like ahead of time. Now, you might be of the mind where you say, you know what, I'm never going to get to a position where I can grow a portfolio, a non-registered portfolio that high. Or it might be you have no desire to, and you're the kind of couple or individual say, you know what, we're not interested in that kind of withdrawal strategy. We're just going to draw down our assets as much as we can throughout our retirement. We're going to use a financial plan and an advisor to help us have a withdrawal strategy where we pay the least amount of tax at doing this. And our kids are going to get our house and maybe a rental property like a cottage or wherever. They're going to get that. That's plenty of money. So there's no right and wrong here. It's just a question of how do you want to use your money in retirement. If you're going to draw down your assets, then you need a plan that's going to draw that down in a tax efficient way. So out of which accounts come the withdrawals, right, to pay less tax. If you're going to live off the returns in a non-registered portfolio, you might be looking at an RSP meltdown as well to push that money into your non-registered account. Either way, you got to figure out how much money you need, what are the assets you have, are you the kind of people that want to draw down your assets or live off the returns? So that is how you optimize your retirement income. Pretty easy, but I know you've got to do a lot of work to get there. Okay, so I have a question for you as always, but before I get to that, one last thing. I almost forgot. Be mindful of your withdrawal rate. So this chart really shows you what happens when you withdraw at a 4% rate. You've heard that 4% rule, right? 5%, 6, 7, and 8. So that top line, the 4%, you can see the 4 and the 5. So the top line and that black line at a 4 and a 5% withdrawal rate, chances are you're going to grow your portfolio. This is starting at $500,000. Chances are you're going to grow your portfolio over your retirement years and not deplete your assets. But if you dig into 6, 7, and 8%, you are going to absolutely wind down your assets. So look at what happens at 8%. Your money lasts only 17 years, and at 7% withdrawal, your money lasts 25 years. So 25 years, the average retirement duration is around 26 to 28 years in retirement. So that might be a plausible thing, but I wouldn't do a withdrawal strategy for a couple or an individual like straight out of the gate at 7%. We'd be looking at what's the lower rate and try to wind up to a number that you think is best for you. Okay, I have a question for you. How do you plan to use your retirement assets in retirement? Are you going to draw them down and use as much as you can and say whatever to the kids, hey, take this house, this is going to be enough for you? Or do you plan to try to grow that non-registered account so you can live off the returns? Love to know what you have to think about that. Hey, thanks for sticking around in this video. I really enjoyed sharing this information with you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.